right, you know it's a special podcast if they're giving me the reins. So very excited to spend some time with Jayson. You know, Jayson's not only coming back to support our program, but he also is the first ever CBO, Chief Basketball Officer for Duke basketball. And he's obviously already been following our guys, staying in touch with everything that's happening. He's been incredible with our players. But for us to formalize that in some way, he's at the top of his game. Obviously, there's no better player in the world playing the game of basketball than him. His love for Duke, the love that we share for him is mutual. And so to get a chance to have him come back and share why we came up with this and how you're doing, why don't you talk about our conversations, the first ever CBO for Duke basketball. How does that feel, and what do you think about with that?
I was honored. Obviously we talk a lot, and for those that don't know you, a little sarcastic. So I wasn't when you first reached out about it. I wasn't sure if it was serious, but for me,
just talk about the fact that I asked you for this role, and then you demanded to be named chief. That was the only way you were going to do it. If you said, as long as I'm chief something, you would consider it.
Well, we work together, right? I don't work for you. We work together, so we just had to figure out how, what title worked best. But I think you said it best. I have a lot of pride and love about this program. What it means, for what it meant for me as a kid and what it's meant for me in my career, and just the doors and relationships that it's provided. I said all the time, the unique thing about being a part of this program is everybody that came before me wanted me to be the best version of myself. And I think just paying it forward. So having the opportunity to make that relationship formal, I've always supported you guys in every way that I could. So now I have an opportunity to just really get to know the guys better and be around more as much as I can and just help out in any way.
Well, I don't want to skip over anything. Obviously, the fact that you got to keep the main thing. And I think everybody has seen the videos of you on the court, attacking your rehab. I know Duke fans would love to hear how you're doing. Obviously, that's your main purpose of what you're attacking right now. You'll be doing this from afar and everything. But update us on just how you're doing and how you're feeling.
I'm feeling great. 5 months and a week, roughly, at this point. I'm back on the court. I'm back working out. Just starting to feel, a lot more like myself. It's been a long journey, from the first day to surgery to, where I am now. But, I feel great, and I'm just happy to be back on the court, and playing a game that I love.
Does it for you, like when you're like you've been as durable as any player, period, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you're watching from this lens, or in this CBO lens for us, when you're watching our guys, does it give you does your perspective change, I guess, at all?
In a sense, I've never had to miss basketball, right? I never took the game for granted ever since I can remember. So I always appreciated what the game did for myself, my family, how it's changed my life and allowed me to do things I never thought I would do. So I've always appreciated the game. So I guess I appreciate it even more than I did at the highest level, but I just miss it. And, now that I'm away from it for a little bit, just kind of seeing the game from a different lens and from watching the Celtics right now in training camp to, watching you guys more, it definitely is a different lens that I get to see the game through.
So you watch this tonight, right? You've been watching us, obviously, all the time. What's one thing you would like us to do or these guys to do when you watch us play or think about, obviously it's a different game, college and the NBA, but what's one thing in your mind or a couple things that stand out to you that you think are really important as we pursue championships and something special?
I think the biggest, right, not trying to compare NBA to college, but one thing I think that college guys 100% have the capability to do, right, college is about competing, playing as a team, playing as hard as you can for one another. But I think you can do all of those things as well as think the game. think about, reads and actions and why you're doing certain things or why you should do X, Y, and Z. And I think just, the game is 90% mental. If they think and watch film and, just have the ability to slow the game a little bit, slow the game down a little bit in their mind with how hard they play and play for each other, I think they'll see the results.
So on that note, it's been 8 years since you've been back at Duke with the crowd, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's been 8 years. So, you rewind 8 years ago, you could hardly talk. You were, shy. Sorry, was that too far? I think that's fair. Guys, I think that's fair. He committed to us. He's the only guy that committed to us where all the coaches had no idea he committed to us, by the way. I just want to put that out there.
I said, Coach, I'm coming to Duke. I said,
no, you did not. No, you did not.
Y'all was putting y'all jackets on, y'all about to leave, and my dad was like, you got something to say? I was like, Coach, I'm coming to Duke.
He thinks he said, I'm coming to Duke. He said something like, Coach, I really like this. I really, you guys are cool. So something short where we had no idea what that meant, and we had to get clarification. So anyway, you go from that moment to now. You're Mr. Commercial. You're Mr. 6-time All-Star.
Why is that sarcasm?
No, that's not sarcasm. You've come a long way. Is my point. You've come a long way, and so now
you have too from when I first met you. Head coach.
So I was getting somewhere good with this, by the way.
My bad.
What would you tell yourself? So you're all these guys, 18, 19, whatever it is. Just one thing for them that you think is important that you wish you would have known or appreciated, whatever it might be.
Oh man, I had so much fun my 1 year at Duke. I enjoyed it. I loved the experiences that I had, the relationships that I built, with the staff, with you. One of my best friends is Emil. But there was a part of me that was, my entire life I wanted to be in the NBA. I wanted to get to the next level, and I enjoyed my time, but there was part of me I was like I couldn't wait to get to the NBA. And you never get this time back. And I'm not as old as you. I'm older. I'm still a young guy, but time does fly. And I've been fortunate enough that I've established a home in Boston. I've been there going to my 9th season. Boston is home. But a lot of guys don't get to experience that in the league. But once you experience being at Duke and leave your mark, like this is home. This will always be home for me. So I just would tell them, you'll never get to experience something like this once you leave. The bond that you have with your teammates and traveling and being on the bus and college is, you just do everything together. And you don't get that experience once you leave. So as best as you can, just enjoy it because it's some of the best moments of your life.
One more thing for you with our team in your lens. We talk a lot about toughness, mental and physical toughness. You've been in some of the most hostile, difficult situations, difficult games, and you've developed. You don't do all the things you've done without incredible toughness, both mentally and physically. How do you instill that? How do you develop that in young players, especially with all the distractions, noise that's there? I think your advice on that would be critical for these guys.
I think it's important to lean on each other. You got incoming freshmen, you got guys that maybe transfer, guys that's been here for a couple of years that have more experience. And like it's like, on the team you got 15, 16 brothers. I've been fortunate enough to win 2 gold medals in an NBA championship, and you have to get uncomfortable, and you have to lean on each other. Like nobody has ever been successful by themselves, and you got to be vulnerable. I think that's important. Like, it may not be the most comfortable thing to tell somebody, your teammates, that you're struggling or you don't know something or you need help with something. But those are the teams that I've been on that have been the most successful, where we were, you could get on somebody for, not doing something, and you could go to somebody like, yo, like, I need help or whatever it may be. And I think those are what make teams special.
100%. And on a serious note, from the first time I ever walked in a gym recruiting, I saw you.
By accident.
I knew I had his name ahead of time. All right, I thought we can work with this skinny kid that's can dribble a little bit, but obviously what you've accomplished is incredible. The championships, the wins, all that. To me, I'm most proud of who you are, how you represent, who you are as a father, everything you've done in Boston. So for us, this is a huge honor to have you be our first-time CBO. Deuce is excited. He just came running in. But it's an incredible thing for our program. So I appreciate you.
Thank you, of course.
Well, thanks a lot to JT for being our first ever CBO. His connection with our players, his perspective from afar with our coaching staff and things that he sees and ways that he can help all of us is an incredible thing. And I want him to also know our program is behind him 100% as he's making his journey back to playing. So it's a special thing that I couldn't be more grateful for.